When I was young, there was an amazing publication called the Whole Earth Catalog, which was one of the Bibles of my generation. It was created by a fellow named Stuart Brand, not far from here in Menlo Park, and he brought it to life with his poetic touch. This was in the late 60s, before personal computers and desktop publishing, so it was all made with typewriters, scissors, and Polaroid cameras. It was sort of like Google in paperback form 35 years before Google came along. It was idealistic, overflowing with neat tools and great notions. Stuart and his team put out several issues of the Whole Earth Catalog, and then, when it had run its course, they put out a final issue. It was the mid-1970s, and I was your age. On the back cover of their final issue was a photograph of an early morning country road, the kind you might find yourself hitchhiking on if you were so adventurous. Beneath it were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I have always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.
This brief inspirational story of Apple Incorporation founder Stephen Paul Jobs, famously known as Steve Jobs, personifies the Steve Jobs way. iLEADERSHIP for a new digital age. During his journey on this earth, Steve Jobs accomplished more than what many others would take several lifetimes to achieve. But at the heart of his success is his passion and love for wanting to achieve his goals. He was driven, self-motivated, and he passionately loved his entrepreneurial undertakings. I always tell my loved ones, why watch others making a success of their lives on social media when you yourselves can become players, doers, and achievers instead of spectators? I urge them, become a content producer or creator. Turn your ideas into entrepreneurial products or services. Create a fascinating creative skills development game that you can market to others. Do something with your lives. Follow the Steve Jobs way as an innovative business and industry leader. Do what Steve Jobs and other inventors did or are still doing, building the digital age industry and marketplace. The bottom line is to create something that will benefit consumers or society at large. Before I list his achievements as an inventor, entrepreneur, investor, and digital age leader, let's look at how his mind and heart were motivationally and inspirationally wired. Steve Jobs articulated his vision, passion, and life's mission as follows. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They are not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you cannot do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward, and while some see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. This was Steve Jobs' mindset in heart, soul, and mind, as stated on page 303 in author Walter Isaacson's book titled Steve Jobs. Also, in their book, authors J. Elliott and William L. Simon summed up the Steve Jobs way, iLEADERSHIP for a new generation. Jobs' innovative corporate ways also reflect Apple Incorporation's entrepreneurial and business ethos and outlook. The Steve Jobs way can be summed up as follows, according to the authors. We are constantly focusing on innovating. We believe in the simple, not the complex. We believe that we need to own and control the primary technologies behind the products that we make, and participate only in markets where we can make a significant contribution. We believe in saying no to thousands of projects so that we can really focus on the few that are truly important and meaningful to us. We believe in deep collaboration and cross-pollination of our groups, which allow us to innovate in a way that others cannot. And frankly, we don't settle for anything less than excellence in every group in the company. And we have the self-honesty to admit when we are wrong and the courage to change. That is how authors Elliot and Simon portray the Steve Jobs way, high leadership for a new digital generation. The accomplishments of Steve Jobs as an entrepreneurial leader and inventor are many, but I will mention just a few of his major achievements and successes, which impacted the lives of many for the better. Steve Jobs co-founded Apple with Steve Wozniak in 1976. Jobs changed the way we connect, consume, and communicate because he and others pioneered the personal computer revolution and contributed to the development of the digital age. Jobs and his team developed the Macintosh, the iPod, the iPhone, and the iPad. Jobs was fired from Apple by Apple's board of directors, the company he founded. But he was fired up to bounce back. His bouncing back spirit reminds us of what Muhammad Ali, the famous boxing champion, said. A champion must be able to take a punch. But for Jobs, it was not a knockout punch when he was fired from Apple. He went on to his next business move. He founded Next, which developed an operating system that Apple Incorporation later acquired. Jobs' entrepreneurial mindset led him to purchase Pixar from George Lucas, who famously produced the movie Star Wars. Jobs later sold Pixar to Disney for $7.4 billion. Jobs' innovations in technology and product development continue to impact the world today. Steve Jobs and his digital age generation were driven by an entrepreneurial, groundbreaking, and innovative business culture and spirit. They had a spirited attitude, leading to great altitudes, turning their ideas into products and industries. Steve Jobs and other inventors contributed to the development of the digital age. They have nurtured and developed their innate godly given capacity and capabilities, which in many others remain dormant or partially developed throughout their lifetime. Within his heart, mind, and soul, Steve Jobs believed that what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful is pure perseverance. You have to be burning with an idea or a problem or a wrong that you want to right. If you are not passionate enough from the start, you will never be able to stick it out, to go the full distance when the going gets tough. This was and is the Steve Jobs way.